Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are joined with Darren. Darren, get closer to the mic. We wanna hear your voice. Tell us where you're helming from.
Good day, everyone. I'm coming from Pittsburgh.
Very cool.
Pennsylvania, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center.
UPMC.
UPMC.
You had a very interesting poster yesterday. We were trying to do a Twitter live, which was a debacle, right? Debacle is the right word, Daphne?
Right. Yeah, that sounds it.
We did not have the right sound equipment to do a Twitter live at a
Now
poster
we know.
session. Now we know.
Yeah.
We live and learn. But we're very happy that you're able to drop by. We want to take 5 minutes of your time and see if you could walk us through a little bit what you were presenting, specifically that study on necrotizing, because I think that it's a very interesting paper.
Just saying hi to our
Yeah, the
Troy.
pediatric surgeon is tormenting you now. Is that what's happening?
He's the main co-architect of the project.
Aha.
Troy Markle. So
Okay.
thank you, Troy. You want to come in and show them your beard?
So for us, it seems like necrotizing means that's it. Maybe he has necrotizing. That's over. It's the end of the story, and we have to log this one in the mortality column, and it's terrifying, and we're terrorized by the prospect of necrotizing. But surprisingly, your poster says maybe it is not a death sentence.
That's right. So this project, which is really a big part of the Children's Hospital's neonatal database type of study, and as it has been titled, variability in survival of babies diagnosed with necrotizing enterocolitis totalis suggests there's a need for a change in the definition. And so we know that the literature describes necrotizing as a historically lethal disease. And as you accurately said, when that diagnosis is made, we as a care community oftentimes recommend comfort care.
Right.
And so we found it very interesting when we looked back at about, this is 10, 12 years of data essentially from 2010 to 2022. And we have been able to verify that of 494 cases diagnosed with necrotizing, you have 20 survivors. For a diagnosis which you should have literally zero.
We should have zero.
Right.
You should have zero.
Because the name says totalis.
Yeah.
So if it's all gone, this is not compatible with life.
Yeah. In fact, the manual of operations that we go by for the CHND, which represents about 45 top-tier academic sites across the nation, says that necrotizing is defined if the surgeon, this is at the laparotomy, deems that so much of the bowel is involved that it is considered lethal. Mm-hmm. Other pediatric surgical journals will characterize it as maybe extensive patchy involvement such that survival is not expected.
Mm-hmm. So even the definition that the surgeons are using is not totally elucidated.
Yeah. And we've gone back and forth talking with neonatologists and surgeons in our collaborative meetings, and there's a lot of subjectivity that is in a part of a definition with this kind of approach, because how do we really know what segment or length of bowel you need to be considered not viable for life?
Right. There's some numbers that I've thrown out there, but are they really evidence based? Have they been investigated and stuff? That's really not the case.
And when from our poster, what we were able to show, we had a nice little graph where it shows with the 38 centers that had necrotizing cases, and then you have 13 centers with the survivors, and you have about 2 or 3 survivors with each center having maybe 10 cases per center. Mm-hmm. What is the approach that these centers used that might have been different from another center? We don't know.
Right. And I think the management of necrotizing is probably is likely very complex, that involves transplants and involves a strong gastrointestinal team and a strong transplant team. And I think I want to be careful that we're not. Your poster is not saying that necrotalis is something that you survive and it's not really as lethal as we thought. But it is still a very complicated pathology. But the numbers do not show that it is 100% lethal.
Yeah.
And so if you had to, as we don't want to hold you up too much, but in terms of if we had to summarize what your paper is saying, the number of babies that do survive from the database that you're looking at, what is the number approximately?
Well, we have based on the database.
Yeah.
1%,
1%.
1 to 2%.
Yeah.
But remember,
but in the kind of our culture of moving towards comfort care in those cases, right? So if we had active management, might those numbers be different?
yes, I believe it's Duleska and their team produced an article. This is from the Nemours group about aggressive care for necrotalis, and they talked about the outcomes being much different when we can offer aggressive care. I just want to put a plug in for the ethics about it. We discussed a lot as a team about the progress of neonatology in the last decade, and we are at a point with the improvement in neonatal care, the improvement in some of the bowel lengthening procedures. When you have ultra short gut, 5 or less than 10 centimeters remaining, and of course intestinal transplants, we believe that we are at a point where offering life-sustaining therapy is ethically permissible, as opposed to our previous iteration where we just thought it was impossible and we said no. But it should be permissible to have those joint discussions with families, offer life-sustaining care, and if we could get past that acute phase and you survive, now we're talking to parents about these long-term challenges which we're discussing here in Next Society, which could be quite broad and challenging for the families, but they want to hear it and they want to be given the opportunity to walk that road.
That's exactly right. The families, even if it's a 2% survival, that means there should be a discussion and have a discussion about what it entails, transplantation and all that stuff, which is kind of poetic in a way, because it's kind of also the way the field has moved from its infancy, where we used to not resuscitate certain babies, and then we're moving the needle along, and now we can say, okay, now we're going to have a discussion about whether you would like to have resuscitation for a 22-weeker, and this is the process with which we're solving problems. And so I think that you're highlighting so many good points on your poster. Number one, that we probably need to define necrotalis better. We need to have maybe a more objective definition. We need to have better understanding of the therapeutic options.
Yes.
And then conversation with families, which I think goes back to the mission of the Next Society.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important because the information is getting out there. Parents are aware of some of these center-specific differences. Okay, so they can advocate for being able to collaborate. So my center where I practice, we have big intestinal rehabilitation and transplant capabilities, and maybe a baby is not born there,
right?
But that should not preclude that baby and that family from the opportunity to have these remedies if we can have better collaboration amongst us. And I think this is the next phase.
Absolutely. Darren, are you on Twitter?
I am.
Okay, so we'll make sure to post the video and tag you, and then you can share the poster for other people if they want to take a look at it. How's that sound?
I love that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Brian King was raving about you. He was mentioning that you're one of their best fellows. So
Brian King is, can I just say a plug for Brian King?
Sure.
We love him so much at UPMC, the entire fellow class. He's an amazing guy.
awesome. Darren, thank you for
Thank
dropping
you for
by.
your time.
Thanks.